Before Delaney and I were officially a couple, we used to hang out all the time. We both snowboarded, and her family owned a little winter cabin up near Jay Peak, Vermont. This was maybe the 10th time we were hanging out, early in that, more than friends, not quite dating, phase, and she invited me to spend the weekend with her up there. It was a 5-hour drive, and the last half hour was spent weaving up this narrow, winding road through dense forest. The kind of road where seeing another car felt like a rare event. Most of the houses we passed were buried behind thick walls of trees and untouched snow, no tire tracks, no footprints. Delaney mentioned that a lot of the homes out there were owned by out-of-staters, like her family, so most places were empty during the off-season. I was going about 30 miles per hour when she suddenly told me to slow down. "It's coming up," she said. I hit the brakes, and a small, nearly invisible gap in the trees appeared. We took the turn onto a snow-covered trail in 4WD, eventually arriving at a little A-frame cabin nestled in fresh powder. It looked right out of a postcard, cozy, peaceful, and totally isolated. We parked, brought in our stuff, and cranked up the heat. Since it was already getting dark, we stayed in, made dinner from the cooler, and watched The Pursuit of Happiness on her laptop. The cabin had heat and electricity, but no running water, just big jugs for washing up and brushing teeth. No indoor plumbing meant we had to use a standalone outhouse about 30 feet from the cabin. That night, I just stepped out onto the porch and peed in the snow. It was still coming down lightly. We passed out during our second movie. The next morning, we got up early, fresh powder on the mountain, and we wanted to be there when it opened. After breakfast, I went to use the outhouse. On my way there, I noticed a set of footprints in the snow. They were large, too big to be Delaney's. I couldn't tell if they were heavy boot prints or maybe animal tracks, but they wrapped around the back of the house and disappeared into the woods. Delaney came outside, and when I pointed them out, she said it was probably a black bear. "They're all over the place up here." I did my business, and we headed out. We snowboarded for nearly 8 hours and stopped at a diner afterward to eat before heading back to the cabin. By then, it was pitch black and snowing again. We got a fire going and turned on the space heaters. Music was blasting, and we were finally relaxing. After a couple drinks, I had to break the seal again and threw my boots on to use the outhouse properly this time. I jogged through the snow and slammed the outhouse door shut behind me. It was freezing. I could still hear the music from the cabin through the trees, but as I was finishing up, I heard something else. Footsteps. Crunching footsteps in the snow. They passed right by the outhouse. "Delaney?" I called out. No answer. Just the sound of the steps getting fainter. I had my phone on me and tried to text her, "Are you outside?" But the message didn't send. Reception up there was awful. A few more minutes passed, and then the music stopped. Silence. Just the sound of snow falling outside. I opened the door and stepped into total darkness. The lights from the cabin were out. I figured the power had gone. I turned on my phone flashlight and noticed fresh tracks in the snow, leading from the outhouse toward the cabin. Then they veered off around the side of the house. I ran to the front door, banged on it, and shouted her name. Suddenly, the door flew open and an arm yanked me inside. It was Delaney. She slammed the door shut and locked it. She was shaking. She whispered that someone had tried to open the front door just a few minutes after I left. She thought it was me at first, but when she saw it wasn't, she panicked, shut off the power to make the place look empty, and hid behind the couch. While crouching there, she saw someone walk past the living room window. A man. Slowly peering inside. I had missed him by minutes. She then told me about a hidden cellar under the rug in the back room, where her dad kept a few hunting rifles. We groped around in the dark until I found the latch and climbed down to grab a shotgun from the wall. We sat in silence, in the dark, on the couch. Waiting. Listening. At first, the only sound was snowflakes tapping on the windows. Then, Footsteps. Again. Slow, crunching steps in the snow outside the cabin. I grabbed the shotgun, flung open the front door, and fired 3 rounds straight into the sky, screaming into the darkness. The footsteps stopped. Nothing but the echo of the gunshots and the stillness that followed. We didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, Delaney's dad told us over the phone to just pack up and leave. It wasn't worth sticking around, especially if someone was creeping around up there. There was nothing in the house they were worried about losing. We left. We got our day on the slopes, sure, but that night? That's not something either of us will forget. Ever.